Nintendo has just revealed more of their financials in one of their quarterly reports, and we have some decent information to sift through today, including a major milestone for the Switch itself, as well as the top 10 best-selling games. Hello everybody, Gabe from Switch Force here, and there is a lot of information to get through here, so let's start off with the 10 best-selling games for the Nintendo Switch. Some of these are going to be a surprise, some of them are not. The top selling game on Nintendo Switch is Super Mario Odyssey with 12.17 million. The attach rate for Super Mario Odyssey continues to be absolutely insane, and that makes sense given that this is the biggest game on Nintendo Switch, and yeah, no real surprise there. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe comes in second here with 11.71 units sold. After that, we have The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild with 10.28 million units sold. That is a lot of copies of those three games. Odyssey, Mario Kart, Zelda, the big hitters for Nintendo. It's no surprise that they have all sold so much, but yes, the attach rate on these is so crazy given the fact that these are exclusive to one console. Seeing them sell over 10 million units is a really awesome feat. After that, we have the fourth biggest pillar for Nintendo Switch, and that's going to be Splatoon 2 with 7.47 million units. After that, things do start to kind of fall in numbers by quite a bit here, but huge shout out for Splatoon 2 for selling that million units. 7.5 is nothing to sneeze at here. This is a really good sales mark for Splatoon 2, and maybe, just maybe, soon, Splatoon 2 could sell over 10 million if it continues to sell as well as it has. This is where things get a little bit weird. 1-2 Switch has sold 2.64 million units. I don't know if this counts some of the stuff where it was bundled with Mario Tennis Aces, and let's actually speak about Mario Tennis Aces here as well, because that sold 2.16 million units. 2.64 for 1-2 Switch seems kind of crazy to me. It is a launch title, so it has been on the market for a very long time. Same with Zelda and some of these other games on here. And Mario Tennis was not a launch title. That actually released way later than some of these other games, and it's still holding strong at 6th place. 7th place, we have ARMS at 2.10 million units. ARMS selling 2 million units to me is actually really cool and very unexpected. I know a lot of people soured on it just because they said that the content that it had might not have been enough, but that falls just below Mario Tennis Aces in terms of sale. Do keep in mind that ARMS has been out for far longer. Kirby Star Allies kind of ties and also has 2.10 million units sold. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze sells 1.67, and the 10th best-selling game is Xenoblade Chronicles 2 with 1.53 million units sold. That is still really good for a massive JRPG like that. That is more of a hardcore game, and given the fact that it's still holding strong onto the 10th spot with over 1.5 million sold. That is really cool. The biggest surprises from here, 1-2 Switch and Mario Tennis Aces. 1-2 Switch, I don't know who's still getting it, but 2.64 million, that's a lot. And Mario Tennis Aces beating out some of the other big franchises there with much less time on the market is also a really cool surprise. Beyond that, let's move on to Nintendo Switch surpassing the Gamecube as far as millions of units sold. The Gamecube sold 21.74 million units, and the Switch is now at 22.86. That is so amazing that in its very short life cycle, Switch has already sold over 1 million more units than Nintendo GameCube. We saw that it surpassed the Wii U quite some time ago, and now it's important to make note that the next console that Nintendo Switch could hypothetically pass is the Nintendo 64, which sold 32.93 million units. It's awesome to see that it passed GameCube. GameCube is still a very beloved console, and we do kind of guess that there's going to be a GameCube Classic or Mini coming out next year, but the Switch staggering over that already by over 1 million units is really good news. On top of that, we have a launch schedule of primary Nintendo products by region, and it's going to give us a pretty clear picture of what's coming in 2019. Of course, there are going to be things that are happening that might not be on this list, and some of these things could be shifted around. We are going to focus on the United States here. Of course, sometimes there's games that only come out in Japan, and that's going to be like perfectly fine. And we're not going to focus on the 3DS stuff as much, but let's just mention that very, very quickly. For 2019, we have Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey. That's in January 11th. We have Yokai Watch 3, which is in February 8th, and Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn sometime in 2019. No specific date given for that. Now let's talk about the Nintendo Switch releases. A lot of these we already know, but there are a couple of interesting things that I want to talk about here. First up, we have Fitness Boxing coming January 4th of 2019. Next up, we have New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe on January 11th. We know about that. Fire Emblem Three Houses is given a spring 2019 date of some kind. That kind of makes sense. It's good to see that it's earlier in the year. Yoshi's Crafted World also given a spring 2019 release date. After that, we have the core Pokemon RPG for Nintendo Switch. It does make note that it is a temporary name. That is not going to be the full name. Late 2019, very expected, and now it's good to see confirmation that this is going to be way later in the year. Before, we just thought that it was going to be 2019. We, of course, expected it to be late 2019, but this does outright confirm it. Animal Crossing for Nintendo Switch, also a temporary placeholder name. Sometime in 2019, no late or early or spring or any other classification given there. Luigi's Mansion 3, also a temporary name, given 2019. Daemon X Machina, 2019. Dragon Quest Builders 2, 2019. And that's very cool because the game is clearly going to be out in Japan for some time before it comes to the United States. But Dragon Quest Builders was a surprise good time on Nintendo Switch. And seeing Dragon Quest Builders 2 come to the platform sometime in 2019 is going to be interesting. The last two, and this is the most interesting part out of all of this, Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4, both with a TBA announcement. It doesn't say 2019. That might lead people to believe that those games might not even be coming in 2019, and at this point, I honestly wouldn't be surprised. But I also wouldn't be surprised if one of them did make 2019. Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime 4, I feel like if one of them is going to hit this year, it might be Bayonetta? I don't know. I have no real reason for thinking that, but yes, we don't have very much information on either. They are not saying 2019. Let us know in the comments if you think that these games are getting pushed out of this believed 2019 release, at least for one of them. I wish at least one of them came out, but there are still a ton of games coming to Nintendo Switch, including some things that were not mentioned on this list. This is just kind of narrowing down and talking about the biggest releases. This is what Nintendo gave us. We do still have things like No More Heroes that don't even really get mentioned here, and that is a much smaller game, but there are other games that are coming that just aren't mentioned in this list whatsoever. Let us know what you think in the comments below about what you think about Bayonetta and Metroid in particular. Do you think that maybe we get one of them or not? What are you most excited for? Are you happy that Switch has now outsold the Gamecube, and what do you feel about the top 10 sellers so far for the Nintendo Switch? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe if you are not already subscribed. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you. We will catch you on the next one. Switch Force out.